Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan read-through podcast. My name is Peter Bahand, and I've read each book in the main series. However, my two co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Oh my god. Really holding it together over here.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It's bedtime.
And it's bedtime for Pete. It's the morning. You're in. Yeah. Christ. And the boar god of this particular podcast, Joshua Dean Baker.
That's right. I'm hard-headed and I've got some tusks.
You said something similar when I called you a bear.
Yeah. I've got like two jokes.
He likes
What
honey.
do you want from
he
me?
likes honey, and he likes something, and he likes honey. Was that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I did say something
But
like
what
that.
bear were you?
I don't know.
He was the bear, that mutant bear.
You were the shape-shifting bear.
That,
Yeah. Anywho's, today on the podcast, we're reading Deadhouse Gates, chapters 6, 7, and 8. We had, for the first time last week, a corrections section, and I was hesitant to do it because I felt like I was going to open this Pandora's box, because we get so much stuff wrong on the show. But already we're returning to it. Just to clarify that when Kalam saw the deck of dragons in our last reading, I want to say it was chapter 5, but that was probably wrong. Anyway, it was High House Death, not High House Shadow. So there we go. We can just this is the fun new thing we're doing on the show.
I love it.
There's no, you guys are giving me no love out here on the corrections section. It does not feel like it's blowing up in a fun, flirty, cover girl, easy breezy way.
Well, I would
like
say
us
it's
to
explicitly not going to. So let's
Perhaps
buckle up.
we could just blur over our corrections as we do in everyday life, Not
But like
it
what?
didn't happen.
But I'm just saying, what if it became like a big part of the show that maybe everyone looked forward to?
Let's listen to that podcast that's always wrong.
Yeah, and then they just get shit on by their fans.
Well, I'm not saying we're being shit on. I just we are wrong a fair amount. So that is they're not wrong in that regard.
I've started in my life just refusing to acknowledge it when someone calls me out, and it's worked really, really well. My students are big fans.
Yeah.
That was a joke, Peter. I'm very
Okay.
awkward, and the moment someone tells me I'm wrong, I apologize for 10 minutes.
Yeah, you sound like me there.
Yeah,
We're really
yeah.
living our best lives.
Yes.
Alrighty, well, with that, let's get into it.
Quick
Now that
PSA, y'all. It's flu season. Get those flu shots. They're free in a lot of places. Find your local flu shot clinic. Get it. Even if you think it doesn't work, it helps out those who can't get the flu shot. That's your PSA for the day.
Yo, I agree, and I'm not trying to really derail us, but last flu season, I was making similar flu shot PSA announcements, got in a whole argument, and I'm just trying to live my best flu shot life, Get your flu shot. I agree. The podcast is staking out a pro flu shot position.
Yes. Don't at us. Unless you're adding us to say, yeah, flu shots rule.
Yeah, that's right.
I also know 2 people that already got the flu, so this is not a joke or a drill.
I got the flu shot this week at school. It was great.
I don't know about
Japanese flu shots.
But I will get one because they are important, as we have just established.
Yes.
And on to chapter 6, because that's the podcast. Chapter 6. After Bodin's escape, Benneth has formed a small militia of slaves. Benneth and his soldiers are attacked by Dosai soldiers. The 7 city locals are rising up here in Skull Cup. Felisin tries to escape, but is saved by Pella. Pella escorts her to Haborik's house, where Bodin is. The 3 of them are to escape through the lake. Felisin wants to take Benneth with them. Bodin volunteers to find him. Blood flies attack Felisin. She is saved by Haborik, but her skin is scarred and pocked. Bodin returns and says Benneth is dead. Felisin is angry and doesn't believe Bodin. They dive into the lake and escape Skull Cup. Diker and Culp observe the pier, discussing boats. They head to a nearby village and meet 3 Malazan soldiers. Corporal Gessler, Stormy, and Truth. A mob descends on the bar and they escape. However, the city is on fire. Culp and the soldiers board the Ripath and are going to head towards the Ototaro mines to save a high priest of Fener. Gessler and Stormy are both glad. They worship the boar god. Meanwhile, Diker dons a disguise and joins the rebellion. The historian plans to lay low with the rebel army until he can reunite with Coltaine and the Malazans. He crosses the city, which is empty. Malazans have been slaughtered in the streets, and the locals have been conscripted by Camist Relo, a renegade mage who leads the army of the apocalypse. Camist Relo plans to chase Coltaine and surround him and the Malazan refugees. Akarium and Mappo find a Scarlpust's broom along with a boat in the Temple of Shadow. After returning the broom, Scarlpust tells them that Shaik is dead, but that perhaps she will be reborn and that the two of them are to witness this. Mappo is hesitant, but Akarium agrees. They will witness the attempted resurrection. Apt, the demon gifted to Kalam by Shaik, travels with him. They are attacked by shapeshifters and continue on. Fiddler, Crocus, and Apsalar flee the Graal in Raraku. They see, though, that the whirlwind is not just metaphorical. A great sandstorm has risen and rests in the holy desert. They ride into it. Fiddler battles with some Graal, and they take a road deeper into the desert and the whirlwind. Chapter 6 is a big one. A ton happens in it, and a lot of characters do a lot of things to say a broad, meaningless sentence. So, Josh, let's start at the beginning and work all our way through. We start in Skull Cup as the whirlwind rises up and the Ototaro mines descend into chaos. Felisin has a bad go of it, and how'd you feel about this rising whirlwind, Josh?
So, number one, I'm really disappointed because, as I stated last episode, I was really hyped that Shaik would just die and then the whirlwind wouldn't happen and the book was about something else. I was like, that'd be such a power move, Steven Erikson. But that's not the case. It is still happening. I actually really like that everyone is so utterly confused about it happening, like, at the beginning. And, like, that's probably how this would go. Like, there is no... and it doesn't say there's much warning. I do have a question, and I hope it gets answered, which is, how does all the people rebelling know it's starting? Because it really seems like it was just like, and go. And they are all starting to just rebel at once. It's pretty buck wild. But I think the image of how the escape is really interesting. Like, it is frantic and, like, just super dangerous feeling, which is awesome. On to, for Felisin, this begins what I call the descent into becoming my least favorite character in the book. Because,
interesting.
As you will hear by the time we hit chapter 8, I am fully aboard the fuck Felisin train. Like, she's interesting in that she's so, in my opinion, so much the worst and just so naive and dumb. And that's kind of interesting to play her against Hiborik and Bowden, who are, it seems like, really on top of their shit. So I guess that's kind of a foil, but also it's a foil because she's just dumb and I hate her. So that's my take. Yeah. Sorry, that's my thing. She got bit up by those blood flies, and I was like, that's kind of a crappy thing to happen to a person, but also, you're not a great human right now. I know you're 16 and you've gone through some shit, but also, like, these two dudes are literally trying to save your whole life. Maybe don't actively hate and plan to kill them.
I mean, she's just a spoiled little brat who went through some shit. You know?
Yeah, I guess that's true. She is, in her heart, still just a noble girl, whatever that means, because that doesn't exist anymore, but I don't know.
I feel really bad for her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel awful for her, but she is really making the worst choices.
She is. I was going to mention that. I agree. She's... But wait.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's tough because I wanted dissent, right? Because I don't agree with you. But also, it's like, it's just such a whole journey. Do you mean like this is just where she gets attacked by blood flies? You know, it's like just as you said, it's like the start of, you know, we're really just following her taking on all of this stuff.
Like I hope she becomes not my least favorite character, but like she's got some work to do.
I think she definitely will become not your least favorite character. I think she's going to do a lot of growing in this book.
Andrew, what you think of this Whirlwind rising up and you know, the escape, Benneth and Bowden and Felisin again attacked by blood flies?
So first, Bowden is the one that came with her, right? Like her boy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. He seems different because before I feel like she wasn't describing him as fucking awful as she is now. Like she's like, he's the worst. I hate him. But
well, I think that's somewhat changed by like her mood towards him, you know, and I think that's all of her chapters are just so rooted from her subjective experience. I feel.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know. Like when I read now, she's like super paranoid. I feel like.
I know. I totally agree.
But then, obviously, that fly thing, whatever that was, happened. And it's like, of course that happened to her, because why wouldn't that happen to her? The last thing that she has left is her looks, and now those get taken from her, too. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
But other than that, this whole Whirlwind thing, I was kind of confused why these chapters had so much fighting. Like, literally, every other scene is like a fight, and I'm like, why is this happening? And then it's just so vividly gross. But now it makes sense that you're saying that when that girl, Shaik, she's a girl, right?
Yeah.
When she died, it, like, was the catalyst for all of this stuff to happen, or... Like, was she supposed to die all along?
I don't know. Josh, what do you think? Do you think Shaik's death was planned?
I mean, there are, I think in this chapter, maybe even Iskarol Pust seems to divine that perhaps it was needed for her to die, to be reborn, to create the Whirlwind. I don't know if it's literally like, it's not that her death is, like, spread among the masses, and they're like, our leader is dead, time to rebel, but I think, like, there's some magic shit that, yes, her dying is what does it.
Yeah.
Big Malazan pro tip, you don't understand it, probably some magic shit.
What I love about the blood flies, and I mean, of course I agree. I mean, all the fleece and stuff, of course it's sad that she gets pocked, right? But, and I meant to bring it up when we were talking about the bugs last week, but on Seven Cities, part of the texture of this setting for me is Erickson writing about the insects and like the kind of gross discomfort of it.
Yeah, it's truly upsetting. I can't imagine listening to it, India.
I would never sit all there.
And it's furthered especially when like Haborik, Bowden, and Felisin are like trekking across the desert later on. It's like, you know, you're like, man, this seems like dog shit out here, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the inhospitable. No, I got it. No, Josh, please. Inhospitable nature of Seven Cities is like part of the texture of it, especially the terrible insects being a piece. Well, we have plenty of. We're gonna get back to them, so I don't feel that pressured to speak about.
About what?
Well, there's just so much Felisin talk to have, you know.
I honestly, though, I feel that way also, but then I'm like, are we wasting time just talking about this 15-year-old girl? Like, I don't know. I just feel like her story is she's just so dramatic now.
She is.
In these chapters.
Yes.
Like, the last ones I was like, okay, yeah, this sucks. But now it's like, girl, you're free and you're still, like, hating life. I mean, yes, okay, she got attacked by bugs. Sucks. Why didn't, and also, what happened, why was Haborik not, did he have like is it his skin? Is it?
Yeah, it's like tattooed skin is like blessed by Fener. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, right, because of his boar god life.
Yeah.
I guess I'll offer my opinion on Felisin later on, so, because I want to keep moving on through this chapter. So, India, here we go away to see Hissar in flames, and we see Diker ride off to join the rebel army to try and like sneak in to go catch up with Coltaine and the Malazans. And then we see Culp, the Malazan wizard, go off to the Otatarl mines to try and save them, and he meets up with these Malazan soldiers who are worshippers of Fener, right? And you know, so what do you think of Diker and Culp as they split ways and Hissar goes up in rebellious flame?
So Diker's going to find Coltaine just to make sure he's okay, because that's his...
Well, it's where all the Malazan army is, right?
I know, but he wasn't with them like, wasn't he? But isn't his plan? Wasn't he supposed to be saving Haboric at this point? Is that why why would he split from that?
Well, he was sending Culp to save Haboric, and I think now that the Whirlwind's happening, he's an imperial historian. It's important for him to be with the army.
There's no better chance to like cement your name in history than being the guy that records the history of the greatest like uprising in all of time.
I feel like they always mention he's a historian, and every single time I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's already a prominent historian, but I mean, yeah.
I mean, I feel like because he also, is he not at all like a military type person?
It almost was implied that he may have been in this chapter or one of the two following. There's like a sentence where he's like, and it's like his soldiering days were behind him, and I was like, didn't expect that sentence.
And he's very intuitive, like, to the situation.
He's definitely like a smart guy who's studied a lot of battles and recorded them.
Well,
so
he's also definitely he's definitely been in the shit because he lies so easily. Like, he slips into a whole persona, like, without trying.
But he's like, I'm looking for my nephew.
Yeah, and he actively sees people dying in these horrific ways, and he's just like steals himself, and he's like, well, bummer. Guess I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool guy.
What did you think about the new soldiers we meet, India? Stormy, Gessler, and Truth?
I think their names are weird, and I don't see...
Well, I would assume they're fake.
Classic Malazan names.
Really? You thought they were fake? I don't know. I didn't think anything.
Well, Fiddler's legal name, Prob, isn't Fiddler.
Yeah, they're not fake names. They're like
they're nicknames. They're nicknames, yeah. Stormy probably has these moods where he's just looking into the distance, and they're like, "Oh, this bitch is Stormy. Hey, Stormy!" And that's his name.
I think Stormy's actually a Thomas.
I don't. Yeah.
I think
that's
Truth
the issue,
is a
right?
Truth is a dog.
Yeah, no one can be intimidating and be like, "Fear, George!" Like, that's just not, there's no intimidation. Yeah. Versus if your name's
that's why
Truth,
Whiskey Jack gave up his old name of Dilbert.
Yeah, you can't really lead the Dilbert.
All right, I'm done with that.
So when Culp,
yeah, the mage.
When he went off to go save Haboric and team, did he take everybody that they met in that inn? Like,
yes. The ones that lived.
Yeah. They all escaped together because Hisar was going up in flames.
Okay.
And not everyone he met makes it. Like, literally only those.
I thought they all died. Yeah. I
think there was like an additional 4 people who get named and then immediately die.
Yeah, some other soldiers played it, but they had it. Yeah.
We're gonna say they had
didn't have names.
Okay.
They didn't have names, so I can't speak to them.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Josh, any thoughts about Hisar going up in flames?
Again, like, I really hope we find out how this coordinated rebellion just happens. Like, I assume it's got some magic shit. It also seems like a lot of it has been planned and prepared way in advance. And my question is, how the fuck did no one see an entire army, like, within a day's ride of a city? You know what I mean?
It's interesting you say that because I feel the reverse. I think something I really like about this depiction of the rebellion is that it feels very spontaneous, and hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
It feels both things, right? Because at the start of the book and in Gardens of the Moon, everyone's like, yeah, 7 cities is fucked. Rebellion happening any day now, right? But also, I think it so catches off guard, like the feeling of it's just like, well, you wake up one day and there's an army out there, and now the rebellion's occurring. You know what I mean?
That I love. Yeah, I agree. And
I think it catches that type of homegrown, like, oh, well, I guess it's murder time now, and like you can't do a helplessness about it.
I will say, I think the scene at the inn captures that super well.
Yeah.
My issues come with the logistics of literally having an army encamped, like, within a day. Because that army must have existed elsewhere. And
in regard to Camus Relo.
Yes, that's the only part that I'm just kind of like, I don't know. But I agree, like in the city where it seems like, oh, yeah, there were some mages blowing the walls down, which we'll get to later, but, like, most of it is just, like, people running in with pitchforks trying to murder people. So.
Yeah.
Lances.
Oh, alrighty. Inja, we caught up with Kalam, and he's got attacked, and he's friends with the demon now.
I love his demon. I think it is the cutest little thing. It is so nice. I know that he doesn't really understand it yet, but I see the beginnings of a beautiful friendship. Kind of.
Josh, are you a fan of the demon as much?
The moment he named it Apt, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm into this demon. Let's go. So
I love it. I extensively Googled it so I could see what it looked like because I just needed to know.
And it's got like an arm coming out of the center.
They said
right?
one arm, and
it's
it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of weird drawings of it. And it's kind of what I kind of like that about.
Ooh, that's upsetting. Oh boy, howdy. Okay.
I kind of like that about Malazan demons is that they're like kind of weirdly described and like they're kind of ephemeral in their shape, you know, and not like, oh, and it's a satyr with a pitchfork and they're very mean.
Oh yeah,
I agree. They got into that was in this chapter that when they got into that.
Yeah, they get a little scuffle.
Yeah.
Please click the thing I just dropped in the image thing. Someone rendered the Aptorian in ZBrush, and it is just look at the feet. Because the toes are fingers, gang, and I just can't get over it.
That is.
If you please type, dear listeners, type in Aptorian Malazan, and there's a red picture from ZBrush, and it just is gonna haunt my nightmares.
That's a demon. That's a demon. If I've ever seen one.
Is this a spoiler?
No.
No, I'm looking at a different picture now.
Then stop looking at different pictures.
Okay. Yeah. So I had one question from that, which I know you're not gonna be able to answer, but on the off chance you are.
Okay.
So after the fight is over, and he really, because at that point he's like Kalam. I feel like he's not sure of whether or not this demon is like there to help or like not. And then I think
he's still getting used to his new demon friend.
Exactly. And he does help him, and then he's like suffered all of these blows and has all these wounds, and then Kalam's like, well, I'm not gonna fix you now, but I can clean them. And then he like shudders and gets scared. I'm wondering, is he like I don't like what he seemed, I don't know. I think I'm psychoanalyzing this demon, but he seems to have had a rough go with people. And that's all my thoughts.
Josh, do you have any thoughts? I'm not going to say anything. Josh, do you have any thoughts?
No, not really. I think I said my stuff on.
Wow, just tossing the rock right back to India.
Yeah.
All right. Can you just like maybe slightly nod?
Here, let me offer this. Let me bounce this. Christ. Maybe AJ can edit that into something.
Yeah, sorry. I'm tired. My bad.
It's the morning. You're not allowed to be tired, Josh.
Well, I am, Peter.
Well, I haven't thought about apt in that way, but I do know what you mean, and I do like how, especially I think about Pearl in Gardens of the Moon, how the demons are imbued with a humanity.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on to Chapter 7, we check in with Fiddler, Crocus, and Apsalar as they ride into the literal whirlwind. Josh, did you know there would be a literal whirlwind?
No, not until this part, and I felt it was a little on the nose.
Oh, why do you think?
No, that's a joke. No, that's a joke. I think it was actually pretty sick. Well, because they have that mini one, right? That they get that Kalam gets caught in, and I was like, "Oh, that's a cool image." And now there's just the biggest one imaginable, and I like that it's like actually it's really just hiding shit, you know? Like they get into it, and it's like, "Oh, this isn't that bad," you know? So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited that there's this weird road. So
yeah, this uncharted road.
Oh yeah.
Inge, any thoughts about them?
I'm getting tired of their storyline. They just comedic relief.
Your girl Apsalar, India.
I know, but she's pretty cool when she like fights people, but pretty vivid but other than that, they just seem like, all right, let's keep going. Like they're going, I know they're going to go somewhere, but it's just so boring waiting for them to get there.
I generally agree with you. I think their storyline is one of the storylines I respond to less in this book, you know? I think to me what excites me, are characters more like Diker or Felisin, you know? And I feel like some of their journey leaves me less, I feel less invested in them sometimes than other storylines.
The only reason I like reading about them at this point is because they have distinct voices that I remember used from the last book, so I don't have to
that's funny,
try as hard to know who's talking.
Oh my god.
Also, just before anybody tells me to buy the book again, I bought the book.
She bought the book. It's true. And let's continue on into our whirlwind.
Yeah.
Get it? Like we're them. Like we're like I'm. Yeah. No,
get on.
Leave
Go
it
to
in,
next
AJ.
the two of you weren't laughing. I don't think you got. It's like I would be Fiddler.
Diker rides to find.
Chapter 7. Diker rides to find Coltaine's army under the guise of looking for his nephew. Felisin, Hoboric, and Bodin are 6 days out of Skullcup. Water is scarce, and the journey is difficult. Hoboric is falling more and more behind. He collapses. Felisin searches Bodin's pack, finding no food. She and Bodin argue about Bennett. Hoboric wakes up, his tattoos deeper. As they become more desperate, Hoboric weakens. They use his tattoos to call Fener into this world. Hoboric feels better, and they near the coast. Mappo and Akarium travel in Raraku. Mappo has a memory of his people and the task he was given. Akarium wakes up, and they see the whirlwind grow. Akarium says he feels like he has been manipulated his whole life. Fiddler, Crocus, and Apsalar continue through the whirlwind. They are attacked by shapeshifters and Grawl, and the divers grill them. Mappo and Akarium save them from the divers. However, a wounded Fiddler passes out. India, I'm coming to you because we forgot to talk about Mappo and Akarium in the last chapter. And we check in with them here. We hear them talking about their memories because they're setting out to try and see Shaik's resurrection. Then they bump into Fiddler, Crocus, Apsalar, save them. What'd you think of Mappo and Akarium and this whole section here?
By far the most confusing characters for me to follow. I
Agreed.
literally have no idea what they're doing at any moment. So in the chapter before, are they still in that guy's house?
Yeah, they're in the Temple of Shadow.
Yeah,
the Scarlet Pust.
Yeah, and they find this boat and they find this broom. They find, I don't know what it was, and then they determine that it belonged to the servant, and he must have been some kind. I just don't get the relevance. I just don't. I know I'm missing some larger point, and I just don't know what it is.
Josh, you're shaking your head. What's on your mind?
I don't think there's a larger point yet, Indy. I don't fucking get it either. The boat is from a people that are not on the 7 cities and are from a very far place away, I think. And so they're like, well, who would it be? Oh, the servant. End of that B plot. I don't know its relevance either.
And then, which one of them, because now I got confused in my most recent listen, isn't Mappo the one that, like, randomly kills people?
No, it's Akarium.
That's Akarium.
Oh, that's what I thought then. That's what I thought then. Well, that's because I was like, I thought it was Mappo, but then they said it was Akarium, and I was like, okay. I don't know. And he's the Jag?
Yes.
Mappo's he's a half-blooded Jag.
No, Akarium's the half-blooded Jag. Mappo's the Trell.
Oh yeah, sorry, I missed which one we were. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I wasn't really mad that we skipped it last chapter because there's nothing I can give you on this. I have no idea.
I want to echo what Josh is saying. It's like I think the confusion there. Like, I don't, like, it's not like when we're reading other things and it's like, oh, maybe you should have caught this. It's like, no, these are all clues and mysteries that are like, being put in the soil,
India, It's like this. If there's going to be a pivotal moment in one of the books where suddenly their past is at least somewhat explained, and then we could reread the first 8 chapters of this book and we'd be like, oh, this is incredible. I totally get all this now. But as it is at this moment, I'm just like, great, what the fuck? I don't know what's happening.
I will echo Josh's idea.
Okay.
And say nothing else.
The best I can say, India, is that if you ask anyone in the world, Akarium is the important of the two. But I think secretly, Mappo is the important one because he's the one that it seems like has been granted immortality or something from some nameless ones, whatever the fuck they are. And he's been given the task, it seems, of keeping track of Icarium. My only guess being that, there was the whole evil Jaghut tyrant last one, and maybe they're worried that he could become a Jaghut tyrant, and Mappo's job is to be there and help him not kill people, and maybe take him out if he gets too bad. But let me tell you, that is some broad conjecture that I have a 40% faith could be even close to correct.
What is a Trill?
A really, really gigantic humanoid creature.
Yeah, they're kind of like big people. They live on the plains. I wish I could describe them better.
I just didn't know if they had like a some kind of magical something.
No, they're kind of just broader than.
If you just type in Malazan Trell, you can see it makes a lot of sense. They're like big ogres, kind of.
Maybe Mappo Runt. You can figure it. Anyway.
So okay.
Yeah. So I think your confusion isn't unfounded. And Josh, how did you feel when they collided with Fiddler and Apsalar and co?
It honestly confused the hell out of me because here's a thing I have issue with. I take issue with. I can't figure out the goddamn maps at the beginning of these books, y'all. I don't know where anyone is at all at any given moment. So when it's like revealed that Mappo and Icarium are just like a hot sec away from the Whirlwind, exactly where Fiddler and them are, yeah, fuck, sure, I don't know. Like, maybe. I don't know how this map works. This week I found where Skull Cup was, and I've been looking every time I've read the book. Do you know why I couldn't find it, India? Because it ain't fucking listed. They had to mention that they could see another town on the island that Skull Cup is on, and then I could find that city and surmise, I guess this is the island they're on. Ugh.
Well, listen, you ain't wrong. So I got nothing. You sound about right to me.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for my time.
I enjoy that part, and I think I just enjoy any time different characters meet. Because it just feels like often it feels like storylines are in their own little separate lane.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever it's like, oh, well now they're hanging out with Fiddler and Apsalar and I'm like, whoa, wow, we're all in the same room.
Yeah, I love that. I love that part. I like when they all happen to know each other, and it's like, come on, guys, we're all in different places. How do we know? And then they all do it. Small world, huh?
Small world, eh? Dikers ride in to find Coltaine's army. We hear more about him in the next chapter. I want to get into talking about Felisin and their perilous journey across the desert.
Bullshit.
And Haborik is feeling pretty bad, and Felisin tries to steal some food and water, and they save him with the tattoo thing. India, how were your feelings about Felisin affected by this part of her story?
Oh God, this is because even in the last chapter, I was fine with her. Like I was like, oh my God, that sucks. Of course, it would happen to you. But then this chapter, she's tough. Like her spoiled brat attitude is coming out like no other. Like, I guess it came out a little last chapter when they're like, don't use the blankets. We need those to stay warm. And she was like, it's just one blanket, and then puts it on, and she's soaking wet. And I'm like, and it's like these people who have been doing this or know what they're doing for so much longer than you, girl. And you're just like, no, I know better. I'm cold, so I need a blanket now.
Thank you. Welcome to the fuck Felisin train.
No, I'm not.
Hop aboard! Beep, beep.
She's so young. But then in this chapter, she's like accusing, what's his name, Bowden?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like accusing him of stealing things, accusing him of wanting to kill her, accusing him of wanting to kill Haborik. But then she's like, but would it be such a bad idea if we killed Haborik? And then she's like, I was just so annoyed. And then he's like, he doesn't have hands, first of all. That's... And he's old. And then they're like, Bowden's like, Felisin, how about you carry the other backpack or whatever? Yeah. And then she's like, ha, what a good idea. No. I'm like, oh my God. And then he passes out. And it's like, and she's like, maybe he didn't want to do it for Haborik. Maybe he just didn't want to lose the food. I'm like, you're insane. She's like losing her mind.
Thank you.
But also, she's 15 in impossible circumstances.
She's 16, all right? She fucking grow up.
I think she is 15, Josh.
She says she's almost 16. That's right.
Right. But and also, she's just so confused because then she's.
I guess.
Go ahead. I can't.
I guess that's how I feel, Ange. I mean, like, and that's why I'm not on the train with Josh.
Yeah, I'm off the train, Josh.
Yeah, but you can enjoy your own train ride.
Great, I have the sleeper car all to myself.
You do. You do, with Felisin.
It's like, undoubtedly, she's being a trash bag, you know? You can't say that she's not doing that, you know? But, like, I feel like it's a little unfair to expect more more of it.
How old how long has she been in this situation? Month?
Well, no, like,
Weeks?
I don't know. Well, she's like recovering from addiction. She's 15 in the desert. She's deeply dehydrated. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like,
yeah. I mean, they're her true.
To say she is under duress is to put it in the most mild terms. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, like, excuses her being bad. I just think sometimes, like...
I don't think she's necessarily being bad, either. I think that she's just extremely self-centered and in what is it? What is that mode?
But she's self-centered.
She's in fight or flight.
She's self-centered in a way that is actively getting herself killed.
But she doesn't know that.
I guess what I mean is, I think if you put 100 people in this scenario, like, first off, a ton of them would have died way before. And then number two, like, none of them, almost no one's gonna be like, oh, you're totally right. I don't need any blankets. I'm gonna drink my own piss. You're right, Bowden. Like, almost no one is gonna act this way. So I think the idea that, like, she isn't doing that, I don't know. I can't get on board with that.
And then also, she's also still dealing with the fact that they definitely would have left her, which is, like, so sad and so shitty.
Do we think they would have left her? I think they would have left her if they had no choice, but, like, it seemed like...
I don't know. I think they, yeah.
I think they would. I mean, she's a liability. I would have left her. Are you kidding?
But I do think, I'll say this, I do think that for all they claim that they did on their own without her, I do think that some of the stuff she did, saved Heboric by getting him out of that mine. So they definitely right, and did make their lives a bit easier. But I will say, from my perspective, it felt more like, hey, listen, we're gonna save this girl, but she has proven time and time again to do dumb shit, and is also addicted to a drug, which is a real damn shame. So you know what the smart thing is? Not fucking tell her the plan and just grab her when it's time to go. That's what it seemed like to me.
But if they didn't find her, like, if she wasn't returned to them, were they going to look for her?
I think they would have found... Well, I think the plan was for her to be found.
Actually, Heboric is pretty good at finding people. So.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I feel like Heboric and Bowden are, like, pretty uncool to Felisin sometimes.
I agree.
You know?
That is true.
They do not baby her.
They have no time for her. Like, I think they have no compassion or sympathy for her, right? And, you know, I cut them slack too, right? I just feel like this is the most terrible and impossible of circumstances. So it's like, these people are trying to survive, and overall, they are made the decision to travel together, you know? Mm-hmm. So I do think there's something to be said for that. Like, you know, even if Heboric is being a dick, they are traveling together, you know?
Right.
And
it's
she also has a feeling that Bowden killed Bennett, which I think lit her up in a whole different way. She was, like, furious.
I will say, the one thing that I feel truly bad for her about is she got some real bad Stockholm Syndrome from fucking Bennett. It is a damn shame how much she, thinks that man gave two shits about her. And clearly he was an abusive asshole who didn't. Yeah. So that is the thing that does make me, really feel for Felisin, I will say.
100% agreed. And not to jump into the next chapter, but... Well, do you know...
Chapter 8!
Yeah. Actually, to jump into the next...
Yeah?
Well, I have a question, but
no, yeah, I agree.
Fucking Christ.
I got it. I'll go. Can I read chapter 8 this time? I feel good.
You're gonna do it.
I think I want to do it.
Do it, baby.
All right. Diker catches up with some rebel soldiers who have fought against...
You just say chapter 8 first. Say chapter 8 first.
Chapter 8. Diker catches up with some rebel soldiers who have fought against Coltaine. The Wiccans and Malazans are traveling overland, scorching the earth and fighting their would-be pursuers. Diker wonders if there's any chance Coltaine survives. Heboric's tattoos have grown so dense his skin is almost black. Felisin lures Bowden into having sex. Felisin tries to stab Bowden, but he stops her. He says he killed Bennett and wants to embarrass Felisin. The next morning they reach the coast. They see an abandoned ship and a Malazan asking for their help. The Malazan is Culp. Stormy and Gessler are nearby, bringing them water. Culp and the Ripath were ambushed by an insane mage, who drove them to the shore. Culp sees into the warrens. He sees an alien warren grappling with the red of Ultrarol within Haboric. Stormy and Gessler are disappointed in Haboric as a high priest of Fener. Culp and Haboric speak on their own. Haboric says he does not trust Felisin. At night, they rest together. Felisin calls Bowden out for having a Talon in his pack. In the morning, they set out on the Ripath. Culp hopes the Oath to Terrell touched Haboric will repel the insane mage. They are wrong. Attacked by the mage, the ship plunges into an unknown warren, flooded. Their ship starts to sink and they abandon it. They are near a pre-Empire ship. On it, they find mysterious corpses. Heads decapitated, skin gray, Haboric identifies them as Tisti Eater, a sibling race of the Tisti Andi, Children of Shadow. Culp finds a bone whistle, which allows him to call on the corpses to row the ship. The insane mage is still in the warren, and Felisin wishes for her death. Fiddler wakes up in the Temple of Shadow with Mappo and Ikaria. Iskarol Pust has healed him and begins speaking about Tremorlor, the point of convergence for the shapeshifters. Absalar asks what the place is. Tremorlor is an Azath house that could be used as a doorway to the Imperial capital and the Empress Sea. The 5 travelers will go together to Tremorlor, but not before each receive a prophecy from Iskarol Pust.
Whoa, Josh on the summary there. That's right.
Yeah, really stretching the old vocal cords.
This podcast is different every week, you know? Really breaking up the medium, you know?
Yeah, I know.
We're revolutionaries here.
A lot happened. Everything
that was a
came
long
together.
summary.
Yeah.
Josh, that's how I feel. Before we get into the rest of what happened to Felisin, Haboric, and Bowden, I first want to pose this question. I'd love to hear what you two think. What do you think was Bennett's fate?
Ooh,
I think he just died, honestly. I don't think Bowden killed him.
I actually 100% with India. I don't think Bowden even went and looked for him.
I don't either. I think he went outside and walked around the block and came back.
Smoked a cigarette.
Yeah.
What are the chances? No. I think that he just wants Felisin to feel bad because she's being a bitch. And he's like, well,
That
feel
seems,
this.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, regardless about whether...
Or maybe he's
what
not
Bennett's-
even dead.
That's true, yeah.
Regardless of Bennett's fate, he definitely wants her to feel bad. And I feel like to me, he seems like a real asshole in that whole... I mean, like Felisin's also... They're just both being really shitty to each other.
Exactly.
You know?
I think he's being as shitty to her as she's being to him, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Because I think...
I mean, she did try and murder him. So,
I would say, because I would say until this moment, on their travels, she is nothing but a bitch, and they are kind of like, well... I'll say it again. She's real annoying this whole trip, and she's doing dumb shit. And I think Bowden and Haboric are kind of both trying to be like, hey, maybe a bit less. And this is the first time Bowden's like, yeah, it doesn't feel good, huh?
Yeah.
I killed
know.
the man who abused you, and how you now seem to think you and that was just stop.
I don't know if I can get aboard on that train, Mr. Baker.
Well, sorry.
No,
it's cruel. It is cruel.
It's super fucked up. I'm not saying it's cool. I'm saying I think
she
that's
did
his
try to kill
motivation.
him. She literally tried to kill him.
Now,
yeah, and see it's moments like this where my defenses of Felisin definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like it runs up against the wall because she definitely has faced a lot, but you can't murder people, so that's
all right. Question.
Yeah.
India, do you know what the Talon means that Bowden has?
No, I mean, please, Josh, please spare me with these jokes. Of course, I
Well,
don't
do you
know
have
what
a
the
guess?
town
Because
means.
I have a guess, but I want to see if you have it too, to see if it's even on brand.
I guarantee you, I literally just thought of a little.
Well, yeah. But is that a claw thing? Because the Talon's
That's
a
what I
type of claw?
thought. That's what I thought. I just thought it was a weapon. I just thought haha, poison's in there. Boom.
No, but
dead.
I'm saying is he a claw?
Oh,
Do you think claws
whoa.
carry? Do you think the claws carry a talent on them? Because he has all that knowledge in this chapter about Imperial warships and pre-Empire shit.
You're so far beyond something that I
He's
could
definitely
even
not
imagine.
just a thief. Could they even call him out? They're like, bitch, you would have been 10 working on this ship. Ain't no way. Peter, look at me. I'm clicking on your face so I can see real good. Is Bowden the Claw? Poker face Pete back again.
So we also see them. I love the beat when Coltaine rushes onto the beat and is like, "I need your guys' help. We're in real trouble."
And they're like, "You're supposed to save us."
Yeah, I think that's just like the books. I think are very funny, and I think that's just those moments of levity. I think actually add a lot to the texture of the story.
A little lightness.
Yeah, it's a 1,000-page book about war, but
Truly.
who says we can't have a little fun?
Yeah.
Everybody needs a little help sometimes.
Alrighty, outside of the inter-trio politics of Haboric and co. Yes, Ange?
I just don't know if we're ever going to address, which I really think we need to, that whole situation that happened in the last chapter with Haboric.
With the jade hand and the Fener.
Well,
okay,
and
great.
being
I didn't know if we were
touched.
going
There's just
there.
so much to get to. Let's
Yeah,
talk
you're right. We did
about it.
skip
I mean,
that. Fuck.
Yeah, because
let's talk Borgod. Maybe we should have a Borgod segment.
Well,
people could like that,
yeah.
No one likes corrections. Maybe we could have fun.
Our
with
God is a
Fun with
boar
Fener.
god, yeah.
I love fun with Veneer.
Our God is a Borgod is pretty good.
Thank you. What if God was a big boar?
That was a good
Alrighty.
one, Georgia.
Alrighty.
Okay,
So
back to that.
Do you think you guys are gonna pick up worshiping the Borgod Fener now that he's joined the mortal plane?
Only if I could be entirely covered in tattoos.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty hardcore move. Wait,
Pretty
question.
metal.
Okay, so
I'm pretty pro my hands though, so if that's
Yeah, I
gonna
would
come
like to
into
keep
it,
them.
I enjoy the finger life.
Okay. India's eyes are all
oh
I
my
needed to
fucking
see.
Christ, Josh.
India's
Grow
eyebrows
up.
just shot up. Anyway,
Oh my god.
that jade hand. Okay, couple of things. One,
When you're just walking around, there's a huge jade hand.
yeah. Well,
it's-
so the crazy shit is we don't even see the hand; we see the finger, and they're like, "Well, it's got to be a hand." And my
And
thought
it has
is,
to be a body.
yeah, there has to be a body, right? So, like, what? How big is his body?
Agreed.
And can you
question.
clarify? Because my memory fails me right this moment. Was it made out of Otaterol?
I did not even
Or
get
was
that.
it just infused with it because it's in these Otaterol sands? Or like...
Infused.
It is not made out of Otatera.
Okay. But it has some sort of similar property. They say it in the chapter, don't they? I just can't remember.
Well, it's made out of jade, and yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it there. That's Peter's I can't elaborate yet tone.
Well, it's...
Yeah, okay. All right.
It's a big jade hand, and it definitely has mysterious magical properties.
Yeah, I'm
sure.
excited to see more. I don't understand a fucking thing that is going on with his hands having ghostly hands that are holding Otatero and then being gripped into a mysterious warren. It's real cool fantasy shit, but I'm gonna wait and see how that goes.
I don't get it.
I mean, it sounds like he was gonna die by the hand, and that's why they put his other hand in his body, and now it's linked directly to Fener or some shit.
I'm so sorry. Where are you getting this information from?
So Colt, when he meets Haboric, he opens his warren
sees
to
the
see
hands.
what's happening, and on the stumps, he sees ghostly hands, and the one is gripping a red vein, which he guesses, I guess correctly, that it is Otatero, basically, which is the anti-magic stuff.
Because you spend all this time around Otatero, you inhale it, and it
Yeah, so his right hand's kind of grasping with that, and it seems like trying to fight it off, and the left one is gripping and appears to be maybe trying to use some sort of green warren energy and maybe use it to fight the Otatero, and he's like, what have you become? And Haboric's like, it's a living,
Okay. Now, if we could just back up just a tad bit. So, did Haboric die?
No.
For a hot second?
No.
He was never dead.
He was really close, and Bowden, now, another reason why I'm like, Bowden, who the fuck are you?
I kind
He's
of
like,
him.
we must touch the stump to the body, and Jason's like, what? Why?
Jason's like,
and he's
I'm
like,
not
do
eating
it!
tattooed
And then
skin.
it works, and they summon a god to the mortal plane, so...
Now, is it crazy
Yes.
for me to wonder, Did Boric is he still him or is he someone else?
It seems like he's him. He did not become the god.
But why is he, totally fine now? How is he, totally good? How?
I think he maybe stole some of the god's powers or something.
So, but the god isn't, chilling in there halfway.
No, I think the god is on the mortal plane trying to, get him. Okay, so gods are all powerful, but do you remember how in the first book, Opon gets pulled in by Perrin into, the thing with the dogs? And he's, scared shitless. I think gods are cool when they come onto the plane on their own terms, but if they get yanked, I think it seems, really bad. So, that's all I got. I don't know how he stole power from him.
Yeah, because he's pretty much chilling now. Almost very positive.
And it seems like is winning the fight against the Otatero, it sounds like.
This isn't oh, God, so annoying. Alright, fine. Let's keep it going.
Alright.
I feel there's a lot of open questions there.
Yeah, hell yeah, there are.
Yeah.
So at the end of it, they get pulled into this warren, and there's a mysterious ship, and they find the Tist Eater, and they find a bone whistle that makes the ship be
lively,
pushed forward by corpses.
I love that.
I've told my D&D group this week that it was the single most D&D shit I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah, I'm really into all of it. And, now that we've got a whole flock of characters together,
Yeah, that's a goon crew if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. And it's funny, at the end when Felisin's sitting there and she's thinking about her death, it's I feel like for the rest of it, up until then, Felisin's very much been at the center of that narrative for me. And at that point, you're like, oh, well, now she's just the sad girl on the ship.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I truly hope that Felisin becomes good at magic or something.
Why is that?
Because I find, oh God, really coming strong against Felisin.
Yeah, you're really laying down the heat out
there. So
there.
for the first 2 chapters of this section, I hate her because she's awful. And now, as you just pointed out, she's just the sad girl, and I'm very worried that she's going to be boring. Or because she's around just admittedly people who are, to me, more interesting now. I think her motivation's interesting, having her family taken from her, wanting to get back at her sister. I find that really interesting. Remind me, Felisin's last name is?
Perrin.
Yeah, so she's Guanales's brother. That's what I thought. I find it really interesting that could play into something, but at this moment, her, the person, I'm I don't think you're that cool. So I hope some cool shit happens to her. Yeah. I hope she doesn't use it to kill someone immediately, but
we haven't really spoken about her predilections in thinking about Tavor and who has sent her to the Isles and her anti-imperial thought now, India, what do you think about that grudge Felisin's nurturing?
Felisin is going to have a moment of clarity at some point, and she's gonna become badass, and we're all gonna be happy about it. That's my thoughts. I just think that there's no way that she's gonna be this character throughout the whole book. I mean, granted, I felt the same way about Absalar, and she was, but he can't do it twice to 2 female characters, so she's gonna become badass. Guaranteed. Peter, don't look at me like
I'm
that.
actually looking away from the camera, as you know. Alrighty, we're really running long again. These episode lengths are getting away from us.
It's not fair though. Well, no, because episodes are usually not chapters are not 4.5 hours usually. They're 3.
Yeah,
so this is an extra hour and a half of reading.
We don't have much left. Okay, so we need to talk about. Okay, so here, let me do this.
We got only one other thing. I mean, the thing is, we've talked so much about the only thing I think we did disservice to is we did not really talk that much about Haboric and the Fener situation, which I know we brushed on with what if God was a boar god section.
Yes.
What if God was
TM. What if God was a big boar?
A big boar. There you go. What if God was a big boar?
So Peter, Diker is on the hunt for Coltaine and his army, and it seems like flock of refugees.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what do you think his strategy seems to be right now? Diker says that he doesn't appear to be heading for any major city currently. He kind of strikes off in a direction that doesn't make much sense. What do you think it's going to be?
Great question. I love this part because, as you're saying earlier, I love how Diker just slips into this persona, And I love kind of hearing the rebels, like the rebellious army's point of view about it, and then to hear them describe the Wiccans as like demons and like they're
So
fire
funny.
arrows. It's like it's so interesting to hear the Malazans be talked about from the outside point of view. Do you know what I mean? Even though, technically the Wiccans are Malazans, but so I appreciate that. And then I also, it's kind of interesting to be on the tail end of it. What did you think, Inge?
So I still struggle, obviously.
You're still not right. You're still not riding the Diker train.
I'm not. I mean, actually, a little bit more so from chapter 7. I thought it was kind of cool watching him like do some brain stuff, big brain business to figure out where Coltaine was. But now I just don't get it. I still don't understand like who does he support? Who does Coltaine like? So the Malazan people are they the rebel Malazan people? Or are they the rebels of the rebel Malazan people? Or are they just the Malazan people? These are my confusions. Because they're like, we're Malazan, but we don't actually like Malazan. And then there's like, we're Malazan, we do like Malazan. And then there's like, we're not Malazan, and we don't like Malazan. And I just struggle so hard with understanding when I'm reading where everyone falls in this specific situation.
Well, he's with the rebel army, right? And they are anti-Malazan occupation of 7 cities.
And the rebel army is made up of 7 cities natives.
Yeah, so like Dasai and Grawl.
It's a whole bunch of people with names of their
tribes,
peoples, yes. And then the Malazan army, which is what Coltaine leads.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Malazan 7th, and then there's Coltaine, who's ahead of them. And the Coltaine and the Wiccans used to be rebels, but then they got put down, and now they fight for the Empire.
That's what I don't understand. Because if it's a rebellion, then why aren't they rebelling? And why would the rebels want to kill people that are only with them because they have to be? What sense does this make?
So you feel like the 7 cities locals should be allies with Coltaine?
Or Coltaine should be allied with them.
No.
Oh, what do you mean?
The Wiccans.
Yeah, that's Coltaine's people.
Yeah.
Should be with the rebels. Why not?
I'm trying to think if there's an analogy from history for this, but I'm kind of struggling.
I literally this is why I hate Diker, because I don't understand his mission and I don't understand what he's doing, and
he's there to observe. He's a historian, and I think that's what I find appealing about this character. It's like it's like a kind of a. I feel like so often in battles, it's like we're on the front lines with the soldier number, and like kind of what I love about Diker is that we're whoa, I just heard about something crazy.
Yeah, I think the best I can say, India, is number 1, Coltaine and the Wiccans are not from this continent. They have no loyalty. They have no. Yeah, that's the big thing. They're not from this continent. They're from a completely different continent.
They're from right by the Imperial
capital.
Yeah.
So they've been with these people. Like this is
Yes.
They lost their rebellion a long time ago.
Oh, well, that makes a lot more sense.
I see the confusion.
We did it.
Okay, and so now these rebels are rebels of the 7 cities.
Yeah.
They're trying to be like, okay, you guys need to get out. We're gonna kill all.
Yes.
But why are there Malazans here?
Malazan took over 7 cities. And when they took over 7 cities, what you do when you take over a place is you ship a bunch of people from your homeland there to kind of like set up a population that understands how imperial rule works and bring the Malazan customs over. Eventually, because it's been probably like 15 years, I think, considering Whiskey Jack and so in the 15 years since Malazan took over, a lot of people who lived in 7 cities just kind of were like, well, fuck it, I guess we're Malazan now, and assimilated. And they are now Malazan, even if they're from 7 cities. But then there is a group of the population that never accepted that they were Malazan, that always held to their 7 cities' customs and traditions, and they're the ones who are rebelling.
And they're just going and killing everyone.
You could, like, literally, they could, like, Johnny from down the street, who you grew up with, could be someone that was like, well, I mean, I live in a city, like, I guess I'm a Malazan. And you leapt to the country and became, really into your 7 cities stuff. And then you see, now that the rebellion is started, you see Johnny, who you grew up with, and you're like, well, you're a Malazan dog. And you slash his throat.
Yeah, and I
even though technically you're both 7 cities natives.
And I drag him by them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty fucked up shit.
I gut him and then kill him with those same guts.
In front of his wife, yes.
In front of his wife.
As was said.
Understood.
I really lost the thread there a little bit, to be honest. So I really came back in at an intense point.
Yeah.
Well,
so now...
I understand. I'm just saying you just came back for me to fully understand this situation.
Listen, we're really running long, so I think it's about time we end this episode.
It's getting dark. It's a good time for the dark.
I'll real quick summarize the Fiddler shit.
No. Josh, I've got it covered.
Okay.
You ready? I got a great way to do it. So, but before we go, next week we're reading chapters 9 and 10. Send us an email, 10 very big books. Tweet at us, 10 very big books.
Send us your corrections.
Oh yeah.
No.
I'm sure some of the Fener stuff I feel ill-equipped to talk about, so I'm sure there's something we did not talk about correctly.
Yeah, you did come off pretty boorish.
So, send us a message. I'm so bad at speaking. Why am I on a podcast? Am I right?
I don't know, man.
So inarticulate. Anywho, before we go, usually I ask Josh and India to make a prediction about the rest of the book. But today I want to do something a little special. At the end of chapter 8, Iscaro Pust hands out 5 prophecies before our heroes go to the Tremolor, the Azath house that's connected to the Imperial capital, where the shapeshifters are converging here on 7 cities. So yes, India, quick.
I'm sorry, I just have a really quick question.
No,
did they always know about this Azath house, or did they stumble upon it? Or were they always heading here? Sorry.
It's like kind of a...
Mappo Necarium just learned about its existence.
Yeah.
It is rumored that the old roads under the stands lead to it, and the Whirlwind has revealed the roads.
But did Fiddler and Absolar
Yeah, Fiddler,
and Crocus
yes,
know?
they knew about it, yes.
Yeah.
Absolar and Crocus didn't, but Fiddler knew that was his real goal.
Because Quickben was sharing that info, because Quickben's in the loop.
Yeah, he knows everything. He's the puppet master, literally. Okay, go ahead.
So, to make the predictions, I want to read the 5 prophecies. I want you guys to choose one, bounce off it, tell me how you feel like it's going to manifest, and then we'll be done. You ready?
I love that idea.
What's happening, but yeah.
Icarium shall find his lost path. The fisher girl shall find what she does not yet know she seeks. The lad shall find the price of becoming a man. The hapless Trell shall do what he must, and the weary Sapler shall at last receive his emperor's blessing. Alrighty, Josh, take it. You leaned up in your chair.
I want the weary Sapper will receive his emperor's blessing, and I mean that sounds like he has to meet Shadowthrone, who we believe is Kellenvad.
Yeah,
and but the issue is, what concerns me with a lot of these prophecies is that you could read them as bites the dust. And for this one, they say in part of the chapter that Shadowthrone, and Cotillion have literally talked to people in the Bridge Burners and have not acknowledged them. And so they've said that they ascended and probably really aren't themselves anymore. So I don't see Shadowthrone being Fiddler, my guy, it's been too long, you're great. I see it more as oh, bummer, I have to kill you, old friend.
Interesting.
So I think Fiddler dies.
All right, Josh chose Fiddler. Thoughts on what happened at Tremolor? India, who's on your mind?
Icarium.
Shall find his lost path.
I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's going to cause a lot of issues between him and Mappo.
Why do you think so?
Because I'm wondering if Mappo is supposed to stop him from finding his path. I think his path might be one that is not positive. And so when he finds out that Mappo is trying to deter him from being his true self, which might not be a good guy, I think that things might go a little south.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's backwards. Maybe he is supposed to be, I don't know. I don't know.
And as always, I have no comments whatsoever about these predictions.
But your eyes speak volumes, Peter.
My eyes are not in the frame of the camera, so
I'm looking at your eyes, Peter. I'm staring at them.
But now I lifted them out of the frame.
You've lifted your chest, and yet I still see your eyes.
Alrighty, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
All the best.
We'll have to, all the best. Fener's blessing upon you.
Hey everyone, producer AJ here again in season 2. Our listener numbers continue to grow from episode to episode, and we will never stop appreciating that. If you want to help us out a little more, and you haven't already, you can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and of course you can tell your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to spread the show. Thank you to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for the hottest university bookstore email takes. And of course, all the music from the show comes from Amaranthin's album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back on October 24th with the next 2 chapters of Book 2 of Deadhouse Gates. Until then, thank you so much for listening.